Gotcha!
Detective test determined that was a lie.
Despite the vast and rapid changes in our world over the past several decades, one thing has remained largely unchanged: techniques used by law enforcement officials. Even when looking at this training video from the 1940s, compared to contemporary interrogations, the similarities in technique are eerie.
I'm Chief Warrant Officer Foster, and I would like, in this film, to show you a reenactment of how I made use of the polygraph during the investigation of a crime a few months ago.
We'll be going over the criminal justice system while studying our favorite obsession, the Watts case. Now, before we begin, I'd like to provide a brief disclaimer. In this video, I'll be discussing the criminal justice system from the perspective which specializes in criminal defense. I think it's essential to acknowledge the problems inherent in the system, irregardless to the defendant, meaning even if you hate Chris, it's important to recognize that many criminal procedures are put in place to protect the rights of individuals accused of criminal offenses, but also to protect and serve justice and those wrongly and sometimes viciously victimized by crimes. I will not be defending any crime or wrongdoing, but will be focusing on the criminal procedures. These are implemented to protect the foundation of justice, and if executed correctly, it prevents dangerous criminals from getting their cases appealed and their convictions overturned. As my lovely member said, this was certainly not Guantanamo, but it could be even worse, really. I'm sure none of the Guantanamo survivors were ever confused about their position or about the position of the authority figures. This can almost be more confusing for the suspect. Well, the police know they're being watched, and believe it or not, they're well versed in these underhand tactics. And as you can see with Agent Tammy Lee, many times they'll be praised for some of the mistakes that they made. They're so covert, people don't even notice them.
Olivia,
Sorry,
given that your web of deceit and lies is so enormous and overwhelming, can you believe yourself anymore?
You're going to get the same polygraph that I gave someone last week. So it's very structured, and we go, in order and that kind of stuff. And you're going to know the wording to all of the questions I'm going to ask you on the test before we even take the polygraph. So don't. A lot of people come in here and they think, oh, they're just going to, attach all these components to me and then just start asking me random questions that I've never heard before, and of course I'm going to react to that. That's not at all how polygraph works. And yeah, you're actually going to probably know more about polygraphs than anyone before you leave here today, just because I explain everything to you and how everything works, okay? Obviously, you're probably nervous about taking today's test. Honestly, I would think something is wrong with you if you weren't nervous about coming in here to take a polygraph. Yeah. Even if people are like, I don't have anything to hide, it is nerve-wracking. And I have taken tons of polygraphs, obviously, in my training. I went to 10 weeks for training. I've been a polygrapher for about 5 years. I went to the best school in the country. So I want you to have confidence in the fact that you had nothing to do with this disappearance. Like, we're going to find that out today, okay? I have the best training that they offer in the United States. We use the most validated testing. that the way I'm going to ask you the questions. So believe me, if you had nothing to do with this, I will be able to show them that today. Okay, so that should give you some confidence that, you know, this is how, like, you're going to be cleared today if you had nothing to do with it, okay?
While on the surface, this statement may appear harmless, in reality, it's designed to manipulate the suspect into confessing or providing information, even if they're innocent of the crime.
There's actually only, you know, nervousness or anxiety cannot cause you to fail a polygraph. A lot of people think that too, that if they're really nervous that it could cause them to fail. If that were the case, no one would be allowed to take polygraphs because every single person is nervous or anxious about taking the polygraph, okay?
I thought that's how it worked.
How polygraph works, and
I thought that's how it worked.
Okay.
I thought that's how it worked.
I thought that's how it worked. I thought that's how it worked.
That's how it worked.
The polygraph may have a psychological influence on a subject. To many, it is an unknown quantity.
On nervousness? No. There's actually only two ways you can fail a polygraph, okay? The first way would be if you fail to follow my instructions. I'm going to give you a lot of instructions today about how to sit still, how to answer questions, things like that. So if you fail to follow those instructions, you will not pass today's test, okay? The second way would be if you choose to lie to me today.
To ensure against anything which might distract or disturb the subject, privacy is essential. The examiner wishes to establish rapport between the subject and himself, and to alleviate any tension or anxiety which the subject may feel. The pre-test interview should put the subject's mind at ease, and this is done best in private.
Today, okay? Obviously, this is about 100% truth. Even if there's, you know, something that you didn't tell the investigators, you know, since Monday, I guess, is when you ended up, the police were involved. If there's something that you didn't tell them since Monday, like, that is totally fine. Like, I get it. You know, people aren't going to remember every single detail every time they talk to someone. As long as you tell me what the truth is today, you will have no problem with passing, okay? I promise you that.
Now, let's focus on covert coercion. This is referring to the use of psychological manipulation, techniques used to induce a subject to confess or make other statements. Common techniques used by examiners include creating a false rapport, threatening the subject with criminal charges, and using leading questions to suggest guilt, offering promises of leniency, or to drop charges if a suspect passes. All of these were done in the polygraph interviews in the Chris Watts case. Did she threaten him by saying, "You mother, I'll tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna confess"? No. What she did was covert coercion. She implied that since he's a suspect, right? If he's innocent, just take the test. It'll say you're innocent, and we won't file charges against you. In fact, we'll leave you alone. Covert manipulation that was used by Agent Coder before he ever leaves the room and leaves Chris with Tammy. He says, "Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way, and then we'll get back to our team of people looking for the kids or for your wife." That is covert emotional manipulation. Tammy's is covert threats and covert promises.
And obviously, I mean, I hope that, you know, if you did have something to do with their disappearance, it would be really stupid for you to come in and take a polygraph today.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it would be really dumb. Like, you should not be here right now sitting in this chair if you had anything to do with Shanann and the little girl's disappearance.
So super gross, she was sensationalized in the media for this moment. This moment where she intimidates her suspect, where she makes him feel like if he is innocent, this is his moment. If he cooperates with her, he might finally make it off of their shit list. At the same time, she's indicating his guilt if he does not cooperate. If you don't want to sit here and take this test, it's because you did it. That's the only reason you wouldn't agree to it. Now, contrary to my annoyance at how little the justice system has changed since 1947, even in 1947, they recognized that this coercive issue might be a problem with regard to the polygraph.
The examiner then asks Armstrong if he is willing to take a polygraph examination. And it is made clear to him that a refusal on his part will in no way be interpreted as a sign of guilt.
Let's talk about the word stupid, which is intended to make the suspect feel foolish, inferior, creates a sense of shame, guilt. This can lead a suspect into thinking that by not taking the polygraph test, they will be perceived as guilty. And to boot, they're also stupid and dumb. Secondly, by suggesting that taking the polygraph test would be stupid, she's implying that he's done something. So now he's dumb and guilty. If this were the only issue in the video, we'd be good. But they're really starting to stack up, and we're not even an hour in yet. Thirdly, one could argue that she's forcing compliance here through a covert indication of a negative consequence. So if you want to get off of our suspect list, you take this. If you don't take this, you're a suspect. Well, if you're a suspect, what comes after that? Jail. Loss of your freedom. But this is the whole point, and she's trying to wear him down. And certainly by the end of 10 hours, she will. The use of false promises is highly frowned upon. You don't have to be a legal expert to know that promises coming from the police, typically a no-no, unless it involves a DA or a prosecuting attorney, lots of paperwork, and a signature that these cops don't have the power to give. The DA or the prosecuting attorney are the only people who can actually promise you leniency. Again, what the agent wants you to think here. If you are her suspect, she promises you, if you are telling the truth, this is it. That's leniency. She's promising you leniency because she knows you've trumped up in your mind that you're going to jail at any moment. So this is your shot, homeboy. Shit or get off the pot. Not to get Rapido girl on you or anything, but coercion and duress can be very underhanded. It's manipulative. They're psychological tactics. They're not physical. There won't be any physical signs of injury. However, this is why videotapes during this whole process are important, because we know now the circumstances. We'll know how many times Watts gets to use the bathroom. We'll know in this 10, 11, 12-hour stint how many times. We'll know what does he get offered to eat. And we know exactly the underhanded and manipulative and covert coercion that was used during this polygraph.
And it's Celeste and Stella, is that right?
Yeah, I'll call her CC too.
CC, okay.
If that comes up.
Okay, perfect. So, and I know very small amounts about the case.
Okay.
Just because I want to know less about the case, because I want you to be able to tell me about the case. I don't want to have some preconceived notions about the case. And
Polygraph examiner must understand every fact and piece of evidence connected with the investigation. I gave Davis, the examiner, a detailed briefing so he could be prepared the next morning should Armstrong elect to take a polygraph examination.
that's why I don't want you to assume that I already know details because you told Detective so-and-so, that kind of stuff. I want you to be able to tell me like you were telling someone for the very first time about what happened when we get into actually talking about what happened, okay? Obviously, Chris, you're not under arrest. I have no plans on arresting you. At any point today, if you decide you want to leave, the door is right there. It locks us in here.
Oh, no, yeah, I saw that last night.
So there's a key in there now, so you can, if you just turn the key, it lets you out.
Manipulative and covert coercion that was used during this polygraph. Now, polygraph and the read technique have always sort of built in coercion into the whole technique. It doesn't work without manipulation. Now, granted, sometimes it takes a bit of manipulation to get guilty suspects to confess. But this needs to be done with a certain amount of due process, and with a careful weighing of the facts, with a careful weighing of bias, and why exactly you've honed in on a defendant that doesn't match up with much forensic evidence that you have. I think having a door lock defines not free to go. He has to ask for assistance. She says it's a maze. He can't just get up and leave. You have to get your equipment off of me, and now the door is locked. And don't think they did not do that on purpose, because they did. Doesn't matter if she says, oh, I'll get the key or I'll get it unlocked or you can unlock it. The brain doesn't work that way. If you've ever studied like PTSD or things like that, you understand that the brain doesn't necessarily always align with the mind. So you can tell a person, you're free to leave. But if you've already sown the seed that they're locked in, the claustrophobia, the flight or fight has already kicked in the brain. It's going to induce fear and anxiety. And the door closes without a lock. So there's no arguing that that's why this is done.
Even after all these components are attached to you, if you decide at that point, you know what, I don't want to take this polygraph, I don't want to be here, this is BS, whatever, that is completely fine. Just please allow me to unattach my components before you drag my $6,000 instrument on the floor and run out of here. And it's kind of a little maze back here, so I will show you the way out at any point if you decide, you know what, I don't want to take this polygraph, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this. That is completely fine. The door does have to be shut for privacy just because noise does affect the polygraph. And I will read you your rights today, and that's just because the polygraph components are pretty restrictive. You know, you may feel at some point that you're not free to leave, but like I said before, at any point I will unattach all the components and show you the way out if you decide, even in the middle of the polygraph, if you don't want to continue to take it, okay? So, does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to give you kind of a roadmap of where we're going to go today, just so you know what to expect and that kind of stuff, okay? So we're going to first start by going over a rights and consent form, and that's that Miranda rights form. I'm sure you've heard of it. You know, you hear it on TV shows constantly. Most kids can recite their Miranda rights. We're going to go over that, and again, it's just so that you know you're free to leave and that you're not under arrest, okay? And then we're going to do a consent form, and that's just something that's required by my bosses to say that you're actually consenting to the CDI doing a polygraph on you, okay? After that, we do a biographical and a medical form, and that's basically to make sure that you're a suitable subject to take the actual polygraph. I want to make sure that you didn't smoke, you know, 10 bowls of weed, you know, the night before. I wish that didn't normally happen, but a lot of people smoke drugs before they come in here because they're really nervous and they're trying to smoke drugs before they come in here.
Smoke drugs?
Boy, that sure sounds good.
And they're trying to calm themselves down. Some people take a lot of medication. Some people hear voices. All of those things are things that I cannot conduct a polygraph on someone if they have those things going on. So I just need to make sure that none of that stuff is affecting you. You seem very lucid. You're talking to me. You're making sense. You know, you're not jittery. You're not moving around, that kind of stuff. So I don't think we're going to have any issues. But I want to vet all of that out and just kind of, you know, make sure that you had enough sleep and you're not, I mean, obviously no one's getting a lot of sleep, probably since Monday, but just so we can talk about all of that, okay?
Sure.
And then after that, we're going to discuss the issue of why you're here. Okay, I want to know everything you know, and again, I don't want you to assume that I already know something. I want you to kind of start from the beginning and like telling someone, maybe, you know, a friend that you hadn't talked to since any of this has happened, and you're basically having to relay all of the details of exactly what happened with Shanann and the girls, okay? And then after that, we're actually going to take a bathroom break. I'm going to let you take a break. You can use the bathroom, get something to drink. That water there is for you if you need that at any point today. And then you're going to come back in here. I'm going to explain to you how and why the polygraph works. Again, you're probably going to know more about polygraph than you even care to know before you leave here. I'm going to explain how it works, and then we're going to go over the questions that are going to be on the test. And like I said before, you're going to know the words to every single question. So it's not that, and we're going to discuss that even before we even take the polygraph, like what those questions mean, and just so you are completely clear in your mind when Tammy asked me this question, this is exactly what she means, this is exactly what she's asking, and this is the answer that I have for that question. So we're going to go over those. I let you practice answering them like 2 or 3 times, so, and then we'll go through them repeatedly if you need me to go over them 4 or 5 times, just, you know, before we actually take the test. I'm more than happy to do that too. I want you very comfortable with the questions and that you know what they mean and how you're going to answer them, okay? After that, we're going to go, we're actually going to do a practice test. And again, that just lets me know that you're a suitable subject to take the actual polygraph. And then after that, we actually get into the actual testing. So that's why it takes a long time, is because there is a pretty big process that goes along with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So did you, you're not working today, right?
No.
Do you have a date that you're going back to work?
Not at the moment.
No. How long have you worked for Anadarko?
January 2015.
So,
About 3.5 years, almost.
yeah. Do you like it there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I worked for Covenant Testing Technologies before that.
What is that?
That's a contract company for oil and gas.
Oh, okay.
And before that, I worked for Ford for 11 years as a technician.
Oh my goodness. So does that translate into
No, well,
Darko stuff?
it's mechanical. I mean, like, I like to fix things. And when I moved out here, I worked at Longmont Ford.
Okay.
And Davis leads him conversationally through his background and history. Gradually, PFC Armstrong tells him all about his education level. He left Walnut Grove after 2 years of high school. worked in a supermarket for a while, was promoted rapidly from package boy to storeroom assistant, and then to part-time cashier.
I moved up pretty fast there, but I hit that like kind of plateau that kind of just like I couldn't go, got stagnant. And I was having this carpal tunnel syndrome, both my hands, and I mean it was bad. Like I was doing this like all day, you know, like it was bad.
Yeah.
So,
you still have that? I don't even know. Can you get rid of carpal tunnel?
Oh, like it was just the onset of it. Like it wasn't like full on I need to have surgery type thing, but like now it's so much better. Like I don't have to, it doesn't have the pain. Like there's a lot of mechanical things you do in oil and gas, but it's not as repetitive as the car industry is.
So are you, excuse my language, are you a worker bee or are you like a boss guy?
A little bit of both.
Okay. You're getting your hands dirty too?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like I'm a field coordinator right now for the area. I have 6 route operators and 2 rover operators. So that's what I'm kind of just over them right now, and we kind of game plan, like we look on the computer on our well summary screen and kind of go from there to see what kind of problems we might have throughout the day.
Sure. And
just kind of like, all right, this is what we need to do. You go here, there.
Okay.
So everybody's doing kind of middle part of the day, and everybody needs help, and try to get everybody checked out by like 3:30 or something like that.
Oh, that's nice. But don't you go to work for your...
Yeah, we start for your like 6:30, somewhere around there, so...
That's super early.
Well, yeah, you have to get there early. You just never know what could happen, so...
That's true. That is true. So do you have an ID on you, Chris, that I could see? So I have... The biographical form has some, like, driver's license numbers and that kind of stuff, so I'll just keep this just for a second until I do the other form. Are you named after anyone?
No.
No?
My middle name, just my dad's middle name, but other than that, no.
Okay. If I mispronounce your wife's name, please, like, correct me. For some reason, it's so hard.
Just think of Shenanigans.
Oh, I like that. Okay, I got it.
That's the way she tells people.
Does her family call her Shanann?
So the way they spelled it, it was like Shanann, like with an apostrophe, but she just calls it Shanann. That's kind of... She's named after Shanann Watts.
Okay.
Okay, so...
Is it B-E-L-L-A?
For Bell, yes.
Okay.
And Celeste is C-E-L-E-S-T-E.
Perfect. All with the same last name?
Yes.
Right? Okay. So, Chris, this is the advisement and rights form. This just says that Agent Tammy Lee says, I'm an agent with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and I wish to talk to you about, obviously, the disappearance of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste Watts, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and to have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of those rights that I read to you, Chris? So I'll just have you write, I guess, when we get to that. And then having those rights in mind, do you wish to talk to me now and obviously go through with the polygraph? Okay, perfect. So what I want you to do is go ahead and answer both of those as yeses, if you still agree with that, and then sign and date that signature line, if you would. Have you always been a Tar Heels fan?
Yes.
Now, you notice after he gets in that calm, relaxed state, all right, she brings up the stressful Miranda rights. He actually looks like he might be actually trying to read them after she's read them to him. And we've all kind of been there, right? Like, no one's really taking that shit in when someone else is reading something to you. It's like, oh, okay, cool, that was an exciting story, now do what? I mean, it's like you can take it in through this, YouTube or Audible or what have you, but in real life, it's kind of harder to keep up, and especially for people who haven't been through the system. So it looks like he's actually trying to reread them. And she starts talking to him about Tar Heels, who you can tell she doesn't give a shit about. She doesn't even know about football. I don't even know if it's football, but I ain't over here trying to pretend like I know about something, trying to charge y'all with some shit. So she's like pretending she knows exactly how to distract him, and that's kind of disturbing. But that was something else I was going to say. You can't expect them to be like beating him in the face. That's not exactly what his wife was doing either, right? She wasn't like, no, the kids aren't going to see your parents, because done with him. She was like, they tried to kill my kid and all of you guys f***ed up. All of you were in the wrong. Feel bad about your selves, okay? Do you feel f***ing bad? Because you should. And that's kind of what they're going to go at Watts with later. But yeah, he's up against two finesse goddesses here. Let me give them their credit. I don't like it because I don't like what it does to the justice system. And it's totally possible here that they did this to someone who was guilty and who was just going to claim his innocence no matter what. But you know, the point is here because someone else innocent will be sitting in that seat. I guarantee you. So it doesn't matter. It's not about Watts. It's about the greater good.
My son is a huge Cardinals fan. I don't even know why he likes them, but maybe because the Nuggets suck. I don't know.
Well, that's what Carl used to coach here too, and he was a Carolina guy.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do you go to any, like, do the Nuggets play for North Carolina?
Oh, no, North Carolina is at the college.
Oh, college. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting all my teams mixed up. You're right. Did you go to college then?
No, I wish I did.
You
That was
wish?
nice.
Yeah. Well, where did you go to college?
I went to NASCAR Tech and it's in North Carolina as well.
NASCAR is the name of it?
Man, it was a mechanical school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
It focused on regular automotive and then the NASCAR portion as well.
Oh, very cool.
I
Did you
went to-
learn a lot of stuff?
Oh yeah.
Is that like kind of elite mechanical school scope?
It was part of the Universal Technical Institute, like it was part of their program, plus the NASCAR part, plus I went to the Ford, the FAC program there as well, so.
A man starts talking about his favorite topic, himself. His other concerns will assume a lesser importance to him. The rule is, get him to talk, and let him talk. A tense, resentful, overwrought subject will bring about unwarranted responses.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you have any other nicknames or anything that people call you?
It's Chris.
Chris.
And some, like, just random ones at work, just doesn't make sense, so.
Like what?
Some call me like Rain Man, because like when I go to a site or something, like if I do it once, I'll remember it, and it's just one of those things.
Like, do you remember like phone numbers and license plates? And
That stuff I don't really pay attention to that stuff. But it was like when I was really young, my grandma used to always quiz me on like state capitals like every day, and like when I was waiting for my sister to come out from middle school or stuff like that, she was always like just pinging stuff off my memory.
Really?
And just like everything. I think that's how it built.
Yeah.
For what it was and what it is.
No doubt. That was your grandma that did that?
Yeah. My mom's mom.
Is she still alive?
No, she passed a few years ago.
Is she pretty old?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
Lived a good life?
Yeah, she was.
Good. Were you close with your grandparents?
Yeah, I went over to her house every afternoon after school and helped her out.
Nice.
Being outside or stuff on the inside, and she always cooked me lunch, some German food, kernels and goulash, schnitzel, all kind of stuff like that.
My first husband was German, so we had German sausage and rice all the time, and then just their German food is just amazing. Love it. So Shanann's legal name is hyphenated?
I've never seen it written that way, but
okay.
that's the way her parents always said. That's how they did it.
Okay.
Shannon and apostrophe A-N-N.
Okay. It's easier to say it when I spell it out, but because you keep wanting to say Shannon, of course, but a lot of people call her Shannon.
Yeah, oh yeah. Her parents sometimes call her Shannon.
Have you talked to her parents at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, are they being pretty decent and good? Are they coming here?
I'm not sure yet.
Who, like,
My dad's here.
Your dad's here. Is there any other family members of yours coming?
Not right now.
No.
Just my dad came out and was for support. He just got here this morning.
That's nice. What a nice kid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is that consent that my bosses require.
So something that she has done is minimize Miranda. Now, this is kind of something that, so all of those issues of duress, coercion, manipulation, etc., all of that could fall under two categories starting out. And this is minimization or maximization. Maximizing the circumstances is on one end of the pole and minimizing them are on the other. Think of it like a mean cop is in his face about to punch him versus a cutesy little tee-hee-hee cop, you know, laughing with him and giggling and being cute and shit. Two opposite ends of the poles. Stripper poles in this case. On one side. The other dude, he's like a prude or something. But both of these guys are going to go for the more covert techniques. It's going to be all about minimization. So that's exactly what she was doing. Oh, it would be stupid, you know, blah, 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 or any of that. It was all minimization of what can happen here. Minimization of the risk for the suspect and maximizing the benefit. So she's maximizing what can happen if he takes it and he's innocent, and she's minimizing what can happen when he takes it and she says he's not. Another no-no is preemptively following up the Miranda with a minimization. So again, minimization, she's minimizing Miranda. She's literally telling him, I'm giving you this, you know, just because my bosses say I have to give it to you or something to do a polygraph. Like, yeah, girl. And the Supreme Court and all the other justices in the land. The justice system decided you had to do that, girl. Not your boss. I mean, probably him too. He'll probably let her get away with it though. Just kidding, her boss. You know I'm just playing. Also, keep in mind that the fact that someone has been read their Miranda rights, A, does not mean that they understand them. B, if you have an investigator heading them up with disclaimers like, it's just my boss making me do it, she follows it up with another excuse. It's just because you're strapped. You know, the polygraph can feel rather restrictive. It sure can, because it is restrictive. And she's restricting his rights, and she's minimizing Miranda. This can totally affect a suspect from invoking their rights. He's thinking she's her friend, his friend, her friend, whatever, words and things. He's thinking, hey, she might let me off the list if, you know, I just do what she tells me to do. Oh, she said it wasn't really my Miranda. It was just a form I signed for her boss. Infinite problems. Like I said, that and that alone wouldn't get you an appeal. It's the totality of circumstances. Piling it up.
Agent Tammy Lee has advised me that she's investigating the matter of, obviously, the disappearance again of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. I hereby say that to the best of my knowledge, I'm in good physical and mental health. I also state that no force, duress, or undue influence has been used against me, and that I am consenting to this polygraph interview on my own free will. I understand that the results of this process will be released to, obviously, the Frederick Police Department, the District Attorney's Office, and the FBI. It would be very silly for you to sit in here and take a polygraph if I couldn't release your result of hopefully passing to the people that need to know. Does that make sense to you? And it says, I hereby give my voluntary consent to undergo a polygraph interview, and I understand that this process is subject to both audio and video recording and monitoring, which we had already talked about, okay? So if you agree with that consent, you can just sign and date it. So where did you stay last night? Because I know that
Nick and Amanda's house. Nick and Amanda there.
How do you know them?
So Amanda used to be a director at Primrose School where Bella and TC go, but then she transferred to another place, and Shanann was getting her own Thrive, and that's how they met.
Amanda's transferred to another Primrose?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Shanann couldn't like talk to them about Thrive, the direct sales business, like while they're at, like they weren't allowed to like talk like, you know, outside, like if their child goes there, I don't know, something about the school rules or something like that. So once she left, she talked to her about Thrive and got her on Thrive, and then me and Nick started running together here and there, and that's how we met.
So is she like a, what do they call them, a downline from Shanann?
Yes.
Okay, so she's like one of the sellers that.
Yeah, like
Yeah. Okay. And I don't even understand Thrive. I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm even a chick, and I don't understand what all of that Thrive stuff is about.
It's vitamins and minerals, and it's all plant-based, non-GMO stuff. It's really healthy for you.
Yeah. Do you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 245 pounds when I started.
No way.
Yep.
How long ago was that?
2016.
Wow.
I've been doing it for a while.
Oh my gosh. So, I think the only thing I know about Thrive is like patches or something. Is that what that is?
Well, it's 3 steps. You have like vitamin. You have 2 capsules you take when you wake up, 2 pills.
Okay.
And then you take a shake with water and put on a patch.
Do you have a patch on right now?
No, no.
Oh, I want to see what a patch looks like.
It's just like a little square piece that just kind of goes on your skin, and it's like, it absorbs, like, it opens, like, up your pores a little bit, and the vitamins kind of absorb, like, through your skin, like, time release throughout the day.
Like, can you tell you feel better when you have the patch on? Really?
Yeah.
How much are patches?
Just the patches themselves?
Or are you supposed to do this in combination with all the other
The
stuff?
3 steps.
Okay.
That's what I call it, the 3 steps. But, like...
I feel like you could sell it. I feel like you know enough about it, you could sell it.
She has me on the, I signed up underneath her.
Oh, okay.
So, like, you know, I'm part of her team.
Oh, okay.
But she kind of runs that part of it, because she knows, like, I'm not the type of seller. I'm not a seller.
Yeah.
I don't, like...
You're not a salesman.
Yeah, like, I would, like, say too much, she says, about the product. Instead of,
Like, sometimes it's not so great because of this, or...
Yeah, it's like I would just give out, like, too much information about the product instead of just having, like, them call her.
Do you sell it to any of the people that you work with?
There's one person that I work with that uses it.
Who is that?
Troy.
Troy?
Yeah, he
I
works.
think I heard that name, Troy McCoy or
Yeah.
something. That's a
Mhm.
funny name.
Yeah, we call him the real McCoy.
The real Everyone's like, his parents, like, actually named him Troy McCoy. It's super cute. So he works for you, is that right? Or
He works with me. He's
are you
the
guys
other field
equal?
coordinator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got a lot more experience than I do. He worked in Kansas before he came here.
Kind of shows you the ropes.
Yeah, he showed me a lot about different things, and I picked up a few things that he didn't know, and just kind of like, we worked together pretty well.
Nice. Is this the correct address for you?
Yeah, it should be that.
This is Troy married?
Yes.
Oh, yes. So do your families hang out at all?
A few times we have. His kids are older.
Oh, okay. Like, how old are they?
Like 11, 10, 8, and 7.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere around there.
There's 4 kids?
Two of them.
Oh, okay. Like a blended family?
Yeah. I think he met her when she had 2 kids already.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what's your Social Security number, Chris?
241.
Okay.
67 3387.
And your cell phone?
910 309 1702.
And how, what's your date of birth?
5/16/85.
How old does that make you today?
33.
And where were you born at?
In Fayetteville, North Carolina.
How do you spell Fayetteville?
FAYETTEVILLE.
Do you say Fayetteville?
Mhm.
Okay. And this says you're 225. Is that correct?
180.
Okay. Was that a lie on here?
What year? What year was that?
No, it's 2014.
No, I was 225 then.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah, I gained more weight.
What do you think made you gain weight then?
Celeste pregnancy.
Oh, really?
I gained more weight than she did.
You're a sympathetic eater.
When I went and got her Oreos, I was you on the way upstairs. I'm not gonna lie. That happened a lot.
Now, can you do the Thrive stuff when you're pregnant? Is that safe for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all natural or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's different variants of the patches that she can't use because, like, some of it's for weight loss.
Oh, you
Some-
don't want to lose weight while you're pregnant, right? That's not
Or it's more like for fat loss, and that's like, they recommend not using that type of patch.
Okay. So as far as growing up goes, and I'm actually done with that, so you can put that away. Thank you so much. Who all live in your family? Who did you live with?
My mom and dad,
Okay.
my sister.
And your sister?
Yeah.
So just 2 kids?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your sister's name?
Jamie.
Have you, is Jamie coming, or have you talked to Jamie?
I've talked to Jamie and her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is Jamie?
So she'll be 40 this year.
Okay.
She's 39 right now.
Okay. She's a little,
Yeah, she's 7 years older than me.
yeah. You were at home by yourself for a little while, huh?
Yeah, we didn't really get close until I got, like, older because that was such a big age discrepancy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So you get along with her well now,
Oh, yeah.
and her husband. So
Yeah.
do they have kids?
2,
2 kids?
Yeah.
How old are their kids?
10 and 7.
10 and 7. Do you get to see them very often? Or?
I just saw them, like, when I was in North Carolina.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Nice. When were you in North Carolina?
So it was the August 1st to the 7th.
Nice. And how far did you get in school?
So I graduated from high school and I got through the NASCAR Tech program.
Nice. So you got a GED or an actual diploma?
So it's like a certificate, I guess. It's not really a diploma because it doesn't have like English, math, science there. It's just strictly like mechanical.
No, but through high school.
Oh yeah, I got a diploma.
You got a diploma?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
And then you got a, I'm sorry,
Like a certificate from NASCAR Tech that I completed their programs. Like, I guess it can't be a degree without, you know, like English, math, and science and stuff like that.
Did you always know that that's what you wanted to do, or the kind of stuff?
It was, if I could go back, like, I'd probably just use that more of like a hobby. And maybe like dive more into the technology part of it, like, because we had like an Academy of Applied Technology when I was there, in the high school I was in, maybe go into more of the computer programming part of it.
So are you like a pretty techie guy?
No, I don't say techie, but I understand like numbers and math a lot. Like that's like with working on these wells, like there's a lot of programming, a lot of setting up these wells to make them run, and like using the numbers, the pressures to optimize the wells is something.
You already lost me. Like I do
I
not do that job.
That's why I helped Troy. Like he knows more like the stuff that was like 10 years ago type of thing, and I know more about. I've kind of like grasped some more of the stuff that's happening right now.
Sure.
And that's how like we kind of like work together. He's like, if he has to work on a pumping unit, like all right, I'll help.
You got this.
If I get working on like a normal well and setting it up, he's just like, here you go. Like I will just watch.
But does that translate into like my husband is a techie guy in our family, so like he sets up all our routers, like when I get a new phone, he sets up my phone for me just because he has that brain that I don't have as far as being a techie person. So are you kind of that person in your family?
I do that. I can do that kind of stuff. I can't like do code or anything like
right.
that. But
you're not writing computer code?
No, I can't. 0101, that's right. All that kind of stuff.
Right, okay. Awesome. So, in your job now, like, what is your title?
So field coordinator.
Field coordinator, okay. And you've done that for 3.5 years or whatever?
So I was an operator. Like, well, it's the same. Like you're an operator. You're operating oil and gas locations. Just a little different. I was an operator, and then I was an operator but / rover. Like I would be going around helping people. And now I went up to field coordinator. It's like now I just kind of like tell people like this is where we need to go, and like we need help, let's go there.
So when did you actually get promoted to that?
When one of our other field coordinators, he went to a different group, the HG Ops group, and our other field coordinator had to go down to Texas to help. So me and Troy got elevated up. So that's what happened. Okay. We were just kind of backfilling. We didn't know like if it was permanent or not, and it turned out to be permanent. So. Wow,
that's awesome. So tell me about like kind of give me a synopsis of your childhood, like what your parents did for a living, you know.
My dad was a parts manager for a Ford dealership.
Okay.
It's kind of where the cars things came from.
See it.
And my mom, she was like a secretary and notary for a used car dealership.
Oh, okay.
So like she
born into it.
She sold the cars too, but like she was more of a secretary notary and kind of she bounced around a couple different used car dealerships. My dad stayed at the same one, changed the name a little, changed names. Then he went to like a different one, but it was the same. He did the same thing. And he did like parts manager and body shop manager, and that's where he's still at now.
So how would you say you grew up as far as like your family structure? Were you guys religious? Was there a lot of discipline in the home? You know, like, or who was the disciplinarian in the home?
So like we went to church, I would say not like every Sunday, but pretty regularly, you know.
And what church did you guys go to?
It was like First Baptist Church.
Okay.
And I mean, discipline, I was the quiet kid. I was I just kind of followed her. My sister was the rebellious one that always,
You're like, I'm a good one.
Like I never like, and my sister was the one that got the most of she was the one that showed me like that's what I don't want to do.
Right.
I would wake up to my mom and my sister pretty much arguing every morning. That's how I went. Okay. I was like, I don't want to wear this. I don't want to wear that. I'm like, okay.
And you're like, Mom, what do you want me to wear? I'll wear whatever you want.
I was just going, if I didn't do it, somewhere today.
Right.
That thing. But yeah, like my dad, he was a disciplinarian.
He was?
Yeah.
What kind of discipline did you guys have in the home?
Just, it wasn't like physical or anything like that. It was just, like, just verbal, like, this is what you need to do. and just follow that. Like, if my dad ever raised his voice, I knew that was my work phone, sorry.
Oh, okay, I was like,
Whoa, forgot about that.
doing kind of now, I'm not in the middle of the test. No, you're good. You're good. I have 2 phones too, and it's hard to keep track of them, so.
Yeah, my work phone, sorry, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah. Okay, so you said your dad was a disciplinarian, but you just.
I mean, it was verbal, like, cause like, if the raised voice, I knew something was okay, that's okay. I'm good there. Like,
Right. Did anyone struggle with like drug or alcohol abuse or anything like that in your family?
no, I mean, my dad did at one point, but it was like after I left, like after I graduated and everything, and I just like, cause my sister, she would leave and she'd come back, leave and come back, leave and come back. She never like
runaway kind of thing?
all of like, she would move, like she went to East Carolina, and that didn't work out, so she came back home. She moved to a different place, and that didn't work out. She came back home type thing. And like when I left, I was on my own, and I was like self-sufficient, and I never came back. And I think that hit him pretty hard.
So they expected you to come back, do you think?
Oh, he was used to me being around. Like he's my hero, he's my best friend.
Your dad is?
Yeah. Yeah. So like that's where I think that kind of hurt him a little bit, because like once I left, I didn't move back.
So tell me, so you're talking about for college, like as soon as you graduated,
Yeah.
you moved out? So is NASCAR close to where you guys live? Like,
No, like once I graduated high school, I moved to Mooresville, North Carolina. That's about 2 hours away.
Okay.
And that's where I
And
live.
I
I never moved back. I mean, I came back to visit, but I never moved back.
Well, tell me a little about it. Well, it's just a place where I grew up.
I did not lie. I don't know anything other than what I already told you.
It's not even
so,
an
like,
option, Chris.